Thank you very much, Teresa, and thank you to everyone who has been a part of making this moment possible in terms of the NGO committee. And having heard Professor Santos, I feel I don't need to say anything else, because he has echoed in much more succinct ways what I would desire, and he has the background of his research. So thank you very much, Professor. And indeed, as Amin spoke, he also echoed much of what I want to say, because he too has the same history of the Commission in terms of length of time as myself. So thank you again for this invitation to be with you this morning. And I envision, and my organisation, a world where justice and human rights support the dignity of every person and the planet, our common home, with a particular concern for every girl, woman and child. And the Commission's work seeks to implement this vision. The cornerstone of the Commission is the Copenhagen Declaration and Platform for Action, built around 10 principles and 3 pillars: the poverty eradication, full employment and decent work, and social inclusion. The Commission has indeed a long history, going right back to the founding of the United Nations in 1946, known originally as the Social Commission. And we are on the threshold of celebrating 30 years since the first social summit and its outcome, the Copenhagen Declaration, from which the Commission now derives its annual programme of work. So where are we 29 years later? I have had the privilege of engaging in every commission over the past 16 years since 2008. I have journeyed each year in the company of the NGO Committee for Social Development, upholding and working from the 10 principles, and in a cyclic pattern, usually within a 2-year cycle dedicated to each of the pillars. First, policy implementation, and then looking at particular recommendations for improvement. Some years the focus is nuanced by the selection of a particular lens, for example, disabilities, empowerment of people, inequalities, sustainable development, affordable housing, technology, recovery from COVID-19, the informality of work, and this year the focus on social justice. A bureau representative of 5 countries facilitates each commission. So we, as the NGO community, have had the opportunity and the privilege of interacting with approximately 80 countries directly engaged in the Commission over these years. My point is, advocacy is effective. Not producing immediate gratification, I hasten to add, but more akin to the formation of stalactites and stalagmites, formed by the constant drip of water and its interaction with the minerals as it seeks through the rock, building deposits on the ceiling and the roof and the floor. The change is imperceptible, but it is happening. In 2011, when the late Michael Sejon, formerly of ILO, spoke in the UN about his vision of transformative change that could be wrought through policy, the implementation of social protection floors, I caught his spirit. His presentation was powerful and seeded the imagination that indeed a world without poverty was possible, and the tool was social protection by right for all. This policy has been a feature of my advocacy and the Commission's work ever since. While Michael's studies showed that social protection floor is both possible and affordable, global policymakers struggle with implementation, choosing austerity measures and economic growth to the detriment of universal social protection, a social justice issue, a human rights issue, an economic, environmental and political justice issue. The 56th session of the Commission in 2018 concluded with the adoption of measures by government officials and civil society leaders, including the creation of social protection systems that would help millions of people still living in poverty, especially those in vulnerable situations. Today, and Professor Santos has already given us the information, we are very conscious of the lack of progress and in some cases actual regression in implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals. My hope for the future, that access to social protection will become a reality for everyone, everywhere. Universal health care, universal child benefits, allowances when required by life circumstances, and pensions for older people. A floor to provide basic needs for everyone, everywhere, across the life cycle, in order to live with dignity within a caring system. To conclude, the world today is at a crossroad of choice. Policymakers must stop threatening people and planet in favour of radical transformation. Stop waging war, implementing austerity measures, upholding a neoliberal capitalist system that exploits people and planet, using fossil fuels that emit greenhouse gases, worsening the climate crisis. All destructive forces. Choose rather to engage a new social contract. Work towards a second social summit, towards the development of a new humanity and a new world with no poverty. Everyone cared for, everyone contributing their talents for the good of all, everyone included. The three pillars: poverty eradication, full employment and decent work, and social integration. We remember the words of Mahatma Gandhi this morning. The world has enough for everyone's need, but not enough for everyone's greed. Thank you very much.